By the figures in a related development, we're also paying attention to the central bank governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, who's now speaking, saying that his decisive measures and that of the government of Ghana have started yielding some positive results. Now, Dr. Addison is currently facing some intense criticism from the minority in parliament to say that they will no longer work with the central bank governor due to his failure to resign from office on grounds that his monetary policies have collapsed the Ghanaian economy. The minority, which staged a protest earlier this week, says that they will be back on the streets again in demand for the resignation of Dr. Ernest Addison. But in his very first public appearance and making his comments after the minority protest, Dr. Addison stated that measures put in place by his central bank and the government of Ghana are starting to yield results. Listen.
It has been a very comprehensive and collaborative work between the government side and the IMF, and this has made the 2-week mission very successful and fruitful, leading to the staff level agreement today. We have all established that the very decisive measures put in place by the government and the Bank of Ghana have started yielding results, signaling a faster than expected turnaround, which needs to be sustained as we reset the economy. More specifically, non-food inflation has dropped significantly by 19 percentage points. Food inflation has also come down by about 8 percentage points. Core inflation, which measures underlying inflation, is also decelerating at a fast pace. From the beginning of the year to date, the Bank of Ghana has built reserves of about $650 million instead of the programmed drawdown of $98 million. And this has been boosted by the innovative Gold for Reserves program. And as a result, we have seen relative stability in the exchange rate, depreciating by only 2.5% between February and now.
Well, so the very first comment from the central bank governor just after the minority staged that protest. So exactly what's the demand of the minority, and why would they not cooperate with a man who says that his policies are yielding positive results? Joining us in studio now is Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Tamale Central MP and also a member of the Public Accounts Committee. It's been a while. Grateful that you're joining us. It's good to see you.
Beautiful jacket or suit, I would call it.
But you know, probably it's an indication of the economy, I guess.
It could also be pretentious.
Oh, I see. That's just by the way. So let's get to why the minority is making this plea to the central bank governor to leave office. He says, first of all, that he's not leaving office, and now he's indicating that the policies that he's put in place are beginning to yield results.
He also described us as hooligans.
Really?
Yes. But are you pretending or feigning innocence of what he said when he granted interview, I guess, to a local radio station somewhere and described those who are exercising a right given to them by the Constitution of Ghana as hooligans? Article 21, Clause 1D of the 1992 Constitution says, among others, that citizens can use demonstrations as a means of seeking attention or redress to issues. It doesn't mean that you should use demonstration as the last resort. You can decide to use it as a first resort. So for us to be exercising this right, and the governor of the Central Bank of Ghana described us in a manner that he did, is most unfortunate. It is important for us to understand that we have all agreed collectively to charter the path of democracy. Right. And once you agree to charter this path, you should be prepared to give up certain privileges and rights as a citizen. You should be prepared to give up something so that the democracy that you so desire to be used as a tool to run this country, goes on effectively. And in a democracy, rules and regulations determine the conduct of everybody, including the president and also the Central Bank of Ghana and the governor. If you read Article 183 of the 1992 Constitution, it says, among others, and in fact, the first function that the central bank is expected to discharge as the last lender of resort, the bank of the state. Apart from the fact that it is the only bank that has the authority to issue, currencies. The first function is that the central bank shall promote the domestic currency and maintain its stability.
Right.
And lawyers will tell you that when you are looking at functions of an institution, the first one that comes deemed to be the most important one. So if you all agree that the most important function of the central bank is to promote the Ghanaian currency and maintain its stability, that should be a yardstick to determine the performance of any central bank governor, because the central bank governor is the head of the central bank.
Right.
And as to whether you are fit to, hold on to your office or not should be that. He came into office in 2017.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Dr. Nash was booted out. This government held meetings that had to do with central bank without even inviting him. Now, Dr. Addison took the reign of leadership of central bank. Tell me whether there has ever been a time under his leadership that we've seen an appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi. He took it at 3.8 to the dollar. Today, it's 11.6. So if you want to use that as a basis, justifiably so, this man should not spend a second in the office of central
bank. We've heard
bank.
from the likes of the finance minister, for instance, who's come to the defense of the central bank governor, indicating that the challenges that we're facing as a nation is not unique to Ghana. All central banks have made some level of intervention.
Why is it that only Ghana has the highest inflation rate among our peers within the West Africa sub-region? Why is it that only Ghana, indeed unemployment is escalating among our peers within the West Africa sub-region? Why is it that it's only in Ghana that we have borrowed so much in the eyes of COVID than any of our neighbors? We got $3 billion from the IMF and got over $300 million from the World Bank and got several grants and assistance. As a matter of fact, we dip our hands into the central bank to withdraw money. So, but I just don't want to miss the point I was making. That is the most important function of the central bank and the governor of the central bank. He failed woefully on that. So it is justified for any citizen to be calling for him to resign because he failed. And that is stated in the Constitution of 1992. Now let's look at the challenges that confront them and for which reason those challenges were not created by the people of this country. The challenges were created by the maladministration and the incompetence of the Minister for Finance, the President, the Vice President, including the Governor. So you expect the Minister for Finance to come and defend him. If the chief comes home with weird haircut, what does he expect his subject to come home with? They come with topejo. And that is why the Minister for Finance and the government would desperately defend him. In the eyes of all these challenges, Central Bank themselves reported in their financial statement and annual report
the losses,
that they made losses of 60.8 billion. Now, if you made losses of 60.8 billion, then you should begin acting responsibly. And I'll use an analogy. Right. You are a father who has 2 kids. Schools have resumed. Your kids' colleagues have started going to school. Yes. Then your kids tell you that we are prepared to go to school and say, no, you can't go to school. They ask you why. You say, well, I haven't paid your school fees. And the children, frustrated and unhappy that they may be, they would understand because their father has not paid. Now, the next day, you, the father, you come home with a new saloon car and a gold watch. And they ask you, Daddy, where did you get this car and this watch? Say, oh, I bought the new car and the gold watch. Right. They ask you, I say, oh, the old car is not befitting of my status. How do you think your children would describe you? They would describe you as not just an irresponsible father, but a very wicked father. But in the eyes of all this,
overly simplistic. Are you not being overly simplistic? I'm asking the question because they seem to be getting to work. Now the IMF says, for instance, the next tranche, 600 million will come. The central bank.
I have just told you that the central bank governor
is confident that these measures will resuscitate the economy.
I have just told you that based on what the Constitution expects the governor of central bank to do, he has failed woefully. So the idea of whether he is fit to be in office or not, we have gone past that there. But I'm just responding to the reasons or making a statement why we are where we are.
Is it really an Addison problem, or this is a systemic problem?
Who is the
that
head,
goes beyond?
Who is the head of the central bank?
Well, he is the head of.
And he's supposed to have some level of independence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now he went ahead, succumbed to the whims and caprices of the executive arm, and printed 80.1 billion above a threshold that is permitted for him to do by law. So it means that he could not even resist the pressure coming from the executive arm. So anybody who cannot demonstrate that level of independence is not fit to be the governor. But like I said, the idea of whether he is fit or not to be the governor of central bank any longer. We have gone past there because the constitutional provision which expects him to maintain the stability of the city, he failed woefully. So he should not even be there. But I am just giving explanations why we are where we are. Even in the eyes of making a debt of 60.8 billion, he goes ahead to spend $250 million to put up an office. NDC has never said anywhere that we don't need an office. Okay. We have never said that. But what we have said is that the reason why we're not embarking on this project was because of the circumstances. And we never gotten to this precarious position as we are under this incompetent and corrupt government. Yet still, they go ahead to spend that amount of money. But I want to challenge Joy TV and Joy FM. Go and find out that company that is executing the project, the gold keys. Go and find out the directors, the relationship they have with the president and the minister for finance. Go and find out. Now, in the eyes of all this, you are a media man. Right. They spend 32 million Ghana cedis for communication. Bank of Ghana already has a PR department. Those who run that department are employees of Bank of Ghana. They are paid every month. Of course, it is understandable that they may exercise certain responsibilities which may demand that they need to spend certain money. They have an IT department. So what extraordinary thing did they do that would occasion that? Yes. They spent 357 million Ghana cedis in the so-called banking supervision. Right. They have a department which responsibility is it to supervise and monitor the activities of all financial institutions. And in all their regional offices, those people have that mandate, paid every month, enjoy certain benefits and services that you and I do not benefit. What extraordinary thing did they do to occasion that? What will shock you? Now, they spent 257 million Ghana cedis plus $2 million to buy gold watches for retirees of central bank. When we raised the issue, they said no. Even in 2016, amount of money was spent. How much was spent? 2 million Ghana cedis. You have spent 257 million, including 2 million Ghana cedis to buy gold watches. Now tell me, the highest person who should be benefiting in terms of the luxuries of services of central bank should be the governor and the 2 deputies. Which of them have retired? Okay. Which of them? And this money was spent just in 2022.
We're trying to look for a solution to the economic crisis, but you're being accused, that's the minority, that your approach towards the matter is not helping any better. You have decided to hit the streets again, listening to the minority leader, Dr. Kezela Toforson, simply because the governor himself did not receive the petition, which means that the protest will continue. Then in Parliament, you're declaring Dr. Addison persona non grata, which means that you will not cooperate with him. Is the minority seeking for a resolution to this economic crisis, or you're simply trying to make political capital out of this for your own benefit?
137 members of parliament embark on a legitimate demonstration, a demonstration which right is driven from the 1992 Constitution. That is half, or almost half, of the people representatives. The authority with which we embark on the demonstration was not just the authority coming from us, but we are representing people. And whatever we do them for and on behalf of our people. So half of Ghanaians, almost half of Ghanaians embarked upon a demonstration, went to the central bank. The central bank governor has 2 deputies. And beyond the deputies, they have directors whose core responsibility is to ensure that some of this mess we are experiencing today are not. What we witnessed, they allowed a chief watchman to come and attend to us. We didn't demonstrate against the chief watchman. We demonstrated against the central bank. And in that case, the director for security, what we demonstrated had nothing to do with security. It had to do with mismanagement of the affairs of
But your message has been delivered.
No. It has to do with mismanagement of the Central Bank of Ghana. But you see, if anybody thought that we should have accepted and presented the petition to the director for security, or you can describe him as the chief watchman, because that is the responsibility. If anybody thought that we took the thing so far, we should have presented it. The subsequent insult that the governor of Central Bank, Dr. Addison, rain on us for demonstrating our constitutional right and for in behalf of half of the people of this country. He described us as hooligans. Such a person who thought that what we did, we took it extreme, high. And such a person owes us an apology in the eyes of this direct insult at the people of this country, the people we represent. I think that the man is unfit to man that office. He's unfit to get closer to the central bank. And what explanation did they give for spending $250 million to put up an office? They said that where they are is earthquake prone. Is that not what they said?
Yeah.
Then they ought not stay there for even a minute, except that they are telling us that they are aware when the earthquake will strike. Look, I attended the University of Ghana, level 100 and level 200. I did archaeology. We had an outstanding lecturer called Dr. Crossland. He told us the entire Greater Accra was on an earthquake prone. The entire Greater Accra. And in fact, I remember he told us the University of Ghana was seated on a rock. So if it has to do with earthquake, and for which reason they think that they need to have another office, they ought not spend even 30 minutes in that office. Look, in a serious country, this man should not spend a day at the Central Bank of Ghana. But you know why? There is a day for reckoning.
I see. And probably that may be in Parliament as well.
No, not in Parliament.
No, okay, well, okay, maybe when the elections come. But
if he was rational,
yeah.
And I say this with all the seriousness, he would have apologized. He would have apologized to the people of this country for using the words he used. But what did he do? He doubled down. He should have apologized.
I see.
Because for us, we consider it just an insult, not on the 137 NDC members. It was not only NDC members of Parliament who were there. Other civil society organizations, PNC, CPP, other political parties were there. And this man decided to insult all of us. He should be apologized.
So let's wrap up with your decision, what you intend to do as minority in Parliament. If you're not dealing with the Bank of Ghana any longer, then there will be crisis.
We will demonstrate to Dr. I'm not too sure whether I should attach that doctor, because a person with PhD should act responsibly. And people exercising their democratic right, you feel that you must insult them. I really don't think that he's fit to be addressed with that title. So if you permit me, I want to be very clear to Mr. Addison. And I say this with all the seriousness. What they witnessed on that day is nothing but a tip of an iceberg. We will embark on massive demonstrations, and the demonstrations are going to be consistent, because until he indeed become humble, meet us and receive the petition, or ask any of his deputies to receive the petition. If they had done that, we wouldn't have done anything. You see, the demonstration was very peaceful. And let me make this point very clear. The peaceful nature of every demonstration is not determined by the security. It is determined by the conveners of the demonstration and the participants. You remember when we said we're going to embark on this demonstration, they said, oh, it will be chaotic. And we said, look, we are law-abiding citizens. We are very responsible individuals. And those who are going to be participating in the demonstration are all citizens who appreciate the enormity of the laws and the need for the laws to be protected. And that was what we demonstrated. The next demonstration is going to be massive. It's going to be massive until he began realizing that he must indeed show some level of respect to individuals who have been elected by citizens of this country to chair the affairs of this country. And in fact, in all front, Mr. Addison has failed woefully. And it's embarrassing and shameful that a person with PhD will make the kinds of statements he made.
We need to go. What will be that final appeal? The appointing authority is the president. Any message to him?
If the fish is going to rot, certainly start from the head. The thievery and the stealing all happens at the Flagstaff House. Everything that happens in this country. And I'm surprised that people are not talking about that. If the Flagstaff House could add over $800 million to a merry renegotiation, isn't this thievery? So what do you expect people who are working under such a leader to do? And that is why I said,
What's that mean? What's the meaning?
If the chief comes home with wear haircut, the subject will come home with tapejo. And that is what Addision and the Minister for Finance are doing. I mean, the only Minister for Finance whose ministry was waiting for him even when he was indisposed.
We're in the era of haircuts, so when you're talking about their styles, you need to be very careful. I'm grateful that you've been able to spend some time with us this afternoon. That's Mutala Mohammed, Tamale Central MP, and also a member of the Public Accounts Committee. We're taking a break here on The Pulse. When we get back, we'll resume, the dialysis crisis and why we need solutions. We'll talk about that shortly. Please stay.